Hey hackers, welcome to The Commit. I'm Richard. We've made it to episode 50. This week we're going to be talking about how to onboard in your new job. I'm joined here by Matt, the CTO here at DevPost. We're going to give you loads of great tips. So thinking about kind of how you onboard people to our team here, what kind of targets are you setting for people on their first day as a dev here?
First day, break the build.
Break the build?
Break the build.
I could do that any day. Why do I have to do it on the first day?
Because that's the quickest way to learn is by breaking things.
Okay.
I know that. No, I mean, I think it's important on the first day to have your development environment set up so that hopefully you commit to production on the first day. That way you feel like you're providing value immediately, right? Like, who wants to say it took me a month to start providing value to our users, right? That's not agile.
Is this like in line with the idea of like commit to production on the first day?
Yeah, absolutely. Commit, deploy, wrap it up, QA, all that.
Go home.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if I've been hired onto a team, it's because I have like some specific kind of language knowledge and some skills. Is there anything I should do to like refresh myself and make sure that my kind of knowledge is current? Any guidelines around that for me?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's good to sort of, maybe if you haven't been, say, for example, you haven't been working in Rails day to day, maybe just brush up on, where things are, where to go from models, views, things like that, because, your first story is probably gonna be like a small bug fix or a small copy change. So you're gonna go to a page, you're gonna see a URL, and then you're probably be like, oh, that's the to-dos controller. So I know,
right.
I know, just sort of kind of know how to navigate an application so you know where to look for things so you can start getting things done.
I had one question that I think is applicable to the first day, but maybe goes more overall, which is kind of, is there such a thing of asking too many questions? So when I'm kind of joining someone and presumably I'm pairing with people a lot, I'm getting a lot of mentorship, how do I kind of calibrate myself so I'm asking the right number of questions, but I'm also like kind of like solving problems on my own. I'm showing that I can demonstrate initiative. What advice do you have for people around this?
That's a pretty heated debate. I would say that you can ask too few questions, so
okay.
Definitely good to find a middle ground there. I think it's a hard balance, right? Because, especially as a startup, maybe you're not profitable yet. You want everyone to learn, but if you spend a week looking at some code because you're missing a semicolon and you didn't ask anyone, someone's probably gonna be pretty pissed at you, right? So you can.
That has never happened to me.
I think
more than once.
I think a good approach really is to time box it, right?
Okay.
That's the best, right? Like if your code's not working, give yourself maybe 30 minutes to an hour. Look it up on yourself. That way you get the best of both worlds. You do some self, independent learning, but at the same time you're not wasting too much of your employer's time because time is money, right? You got to get the MVP out there. You got to get providing value, things like that.
Is that a kind of around this time box? Do you think that's something that you can kind of go to your supervisor, your CTO, and kind of try and calibrate that with them? Say like, hey, like how much time are you comfortable with me spending trying to solve problems on my own before you want me to kind of raise a flag?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suspect it'll be different based off the company, team size, things like that. Around here we don't have a lot of spare developer time, so I think you don't want to ask questions too soon, but I think in a way, sooner is sort of better. You have to be able to sort of realize when you're going down a rabbit hole and when you're going to spend too much time on something. You kind of get an itch in the back of your head, like this really should be simplified. I should probably ask someone, and then.
Right. So we've crushed our first day. We've got our environment set up. We've kind of broken the build, or we've kind of tackled a small copy change or something that gets us kind of through that deployment and production cycle. So let's think about then our first week. How does the first week differ in terms of our goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, within the first week, want to start doing some code reviews. Neil and I talked about this last week. I think, especially if you're junior, but even if you're a senior, I think the fresh perspective really helps in a code review because, you're not someone that's been staring at this code for, weeks or months on end, right? So it's sort of a fresh perspective. Every time we hire a new employee here, he's like, why the hell are you guys doing this like that? You can do it way more easily like this.
And that must be super valuable though, right?
Very valuable. A little frustrating sometimes. Like, damn, why didn't we think of that sooner? But very valuable. The fresh eyes and, maybe a new trend has caught on that, you haven't learned about yet. I think there's a lot of value. I don't think anyone's too junior to look at code by any means.
Right. Oh, that's a great thought, actually. So really encourage even kind of people that are at the start of their journey as developers to dig in and kind of look in code reviews and, be vocal about their own suggestions and their own ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they can't understand it, then you made it too complex, I'd say.
Ah, okay. That's cool. So let's think then about kind of the first few weeks. So we've kind of been in the job a month, kind of how embedded should we be then? Should I be kind of picking up pretty complicated projects and working through cards on my own? Or should I still be aiming to kind of pair with people and work on perhaps more minor stuff?
I That's a good question. I think some of that sort of has to be determined on the fly based off your progress in the past, in the first couple weeks. I think probably by a month you're at a good middle ground where you can do some of the easier stuff on your own. But if you got something that's like 5 or 8 points, something that's pretty complex, I think you should definitely still be pairing at that point.
Right.
I mean, I know there's some shops that pair all day, every day anyway, and there's obviously value to that. So I think you're probably gonna be at a middle ground within your first month.
At what point do you usually expect a new, and I'm thinking more perhaps of a junior developer here, but what point do you expect them to become confident? At what point do you expect them to kind of really have a strong belief in their own abilities and their own kind of capabilities, like take a project on and build it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think confidence is very important from the start. I think you should always believe in your own ability. But obviously, you got to keep the ego in check.
Suddenly, I find that I'm kind of like, my CTO says, like, Richard, you've been doing a great job. I want you to take this on. And then maybe I feel a little nervous. I'm still pretty new on the team, but I'm finding that project a little harder and not really making as much progress. How would you advise people to kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 things you should do. I mean, the first of which is talk to your supervisor about their expectations. If that happens, maybe you guys aren't on the same page, but that's a good conversation to have. Also, get help from the team. It's never, no one's going to get mad at you for asking for help too soon, right? So I think in that case, you got to have sort of upwards conversation with your supervisor, but also, side to side with your peers and see what they can do to help.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I certainly learned early in my career was everything's hard for everyone the first time, and kind of understanding that and understanding that it takes time. And like being patient with myself was definitely a helpful thing for me.
Yeah, I think if you don't realize up front that it's going to be too hard for you, I think, sort of the best thing you can do is sort of realize it as soon as possible and get help as soon as possible. And no one's going to get mad at you for taking on something that was too hard. They're going to, it's a team effort and we want the team to succeed. So just get help sooner and, learn from it.
Awesome. Well, I hope you found those tips useful. If you've got any questions, let us know in the comments. Matt and myself would be more than happy to answer them. We'll see you next time on The Commit.